The box sat on the coffee table like a ticking bomb, wrapped in crimson paper that shimmered under the lamplight. My husband, Tom, stood there with that grin, half cocky, half nervous, the kind that made my stomach flip and my heart race for all the wrong reasons. I should have known better than to trust a gift from a man who'd been lying to me for years. It was our 10th anniversary, and I'd spent the morning burning pancakes while Tom laughed, his voice warm like the summer we met. We were supposed to be celebrating dinner reservations, a bottle of wine, the works, but then he came home with that box. "Open it," he said, his eyes glinting with something I couldn't quite place. Excitement, guilt. I tore into the wrapping, my fingers trembling, expecting jewelry or maybe a love letter to mend the cracks in our marriage. Instead, I found a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed and heavy with secrets. "Tom, what is this?" I asked, my voice catching as I flipped it open. His handwriting stared back at me, dates, names, places I didn't recognize. My heart sank. This wasn't a gift. It was a confession. 10 years ago, I fell for Tom because he was a dreamer, always chasing something bigger than himself. He'd spin stories about his travels, adventures in Bangkok, hiking Machu Picchu, sailing the Mediterranean. I'd listen, wide-eyed, imagining a life where I'd be his partner in those wild escapades. But marriage grounded us. Bills piled up. His job at the accounting firm drained his spark, and I became the practical one, holding our life together while he drifted. Lately, he'd been distant late nights, vague excuses, and that grin, always that grin, like he was hiding a private joke. The journal changed everything. Page after page detailed a double life. Business trips that were never business, a woman named Claire in Seattle, another named Elena in Chicago, hotel receipts, love letters, even a photo tucked between the pages, a brunette with a smile that mirrored mine. My hands shook as I read, the words blurring through tears. Tom had been living a lie, and this gift was his twisted way of coming clean. "Why?" I whispered, looking up at him. He didn't flinch, just stood there, his grin fading into something softer, almost pleading. "I thought you deserved the truth," he said. I couldn't keep carrying it alone. The truth. What a cruel word. It wasn't just about the affairs. It was the betrayal of every moment I'd spent loving him, believing in us. I wanted to scream, to throw the journal at him, but instead, I kept reading. The entries weren't just about his infidelity, they were about us. He wrote about our first date, how my laugh made him feel alive. He wrote about the night I miscarried, how he held me but felt helpless. He wrote about his fear of losing me, how it drove him to these other lives, as if they could fill the void he felt growing between us. I slammed the journal shut. "You think this makes it okay? You think writing it down absolves you?" "No," he said, stepping closer. "I know it doesn't, but I needed you to see all of me, the good, the bad, the parts I'm ashamed of. I'm tired of pretending." I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the quiet room. "Pretending, Tom? I've been the one pretending we were happy, pretending you were still the man I married." He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. The box, once so beautiful, now felt like a Pandora's box, unleashing every doubt I'd buried. I thought of the years I'd spent building a life with him, the dreams we'd shared, the promises we'd made. Were they all lies, or was there still something worth salvaging? The next few days were a blur. I moved into the guest room, the journal haunting me from the coffee table where I'd left it. I couldn't bring myself to read more, but I couldn't throw it away either. Tom tried to talk, but every word felt like a fresh wound. "I love you," he'd say, and I'd hear the echo of Claire's name, Elena's laughter. Yet ache in his eyes. I saw something: real regret. Yes, but also a desperate hope that we could rebuild. One night, I finally opened the journal again. The last entry was dated the day before our anniversary. "I'm giving her the truth because I can't lose her. If she hates me, at least she'll know who I am." I sat there, tears streaming down my face, torn between rage and a love that refused to die. I started writing in the journal too. Not for him, But for me, I wrote about the pain, the betrayal, the love I still felt despite everything. I wrote about the woman I was before him, the one who dreamed of adventure, who laughed without fear. Maybe this was the real gift, not the journal, but the chance to rediscover myself. Weeks passed, and we began to talk not as husband and wife, but as two broken people trying to understand each other. Therapy helped, though it was brutal. Tom owned his mistakes, and I faced my own, how I'd ignored the signs, how I'd let our marriage become a routine. We weren't fixed, not by a long shot, but we were trying. The box still sits on the coffee table, a reminder of the truth we're rebuilding from. Some days I want to burn it. Others, I see it as a symbol of what we're fighting for. Love isn't perfect. It's messy, flawed, and sometimes it hurts like hell. But it's also resilient, and maybe, just maybe, we can find our way back to each other. What would you do if you were me? Would you forgive, or would you walk away? Share your thoughts. I'm still figuring out what's right. Auntie.